The Alldus podcast is brought to you by Alldus International, supplying your expert AI and digital transformation staffing needs across the US and Europe. Today, you are listening to our ServiceNow series, where we interview the best and brightest of the industry to share their story, advice, and views on the exciting world of ServiceNow and digital transformation.
Hello everybody, it's Mark Kelly here. Hope you're doing really well. Mark is Chief Customer Officer and co-founder of Alldus, and I'm very happy to welcome as part of our ServiceNow series for round two, it's Andy Ho. Andy is VP of Learning, Experience and Innovation at ServiceNow. Andy, thank you very much for your time again.
Wow, I must have done something special last time, Mark, for you to want me to come on board again. So welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you very much. Andy, last time we got to speak a little bit about RiseUp, but we didn't necessarily get to delve into as much detail as we could because it was pretty much hot off the press soon after we were chatting. So I'd love to start there in terms of a conversation about RiseUp. And for people who don't necessarily know much about it, what makes this so special?
Yeah, so it's come out. It came out a couple months ago. The idea is not anything groundbreaking. If you think about it, you look at the program, what we're trying to do, it's really about the people, right? We're trying to make sure that people have an opportunity to have a career in the ServiceNow ecosystem. What other company wouldn't want that for their own ecosystem? They want people that are new in career. They want people that have transferable skills. Hey, I'm working for a different company. I'm already a developer. What's the ServiceNow platform about? Or people that are already in our ecosystem that are already learning it. Let's give them more. So at the root of it, it's nothing earth-shattering. I think something that as I've been planning all the way with a couple of the leaders at our company over a year ago in how we were going to go about this, something that you might not read in print, you might not hear about. So you're going to hear about it from me. What makes it different is the way we're going about our business. People might think, well, okay, you want more people to come in the ecosystem, keep doing what you're doing. You put out training classes, you help people learn how to use the platform. How's that any different than both what other companies do and what you've already been doing over the last 2 decades or a decade and a half? The difference is the way we've restructured the way we do our work is completely different. And I'll give you a very quick analogy. Most training teams, in fact, all the training teams I've ever worked for over my career, we think about the content. And if you work in let's say a training factory, what's on that conveyor belt is the book. It's the content. It's what you're putting out to the audience. So everything that the training team is doing is geared around getting that book from beginning to the end. Hey, let's put a nice cover on it. Hey, let's put a nice lab in there. And then get it all the way through. Customers take it and they go, oh, this is great. Or if they say, no, this is not great, you put it back into the conveyor belt and you work on the book to make it better for the next time around. That's the way the majority of training teams out in, whether you're a nonprofit, whether you're for profit, that's the way you think through your ADDIE model, or whatever agile, that's how the project gets managed. We've made a fundamental difference in how we go about this, and hopefully this resonates with people. You, Mark, are on our conveyor belt. We look at you to see where is Mark in our factory? Where does he want to go? It's not a single conveyor belt. It's not beginning. Mark could want certification to prove that he can do a certain skill like system administration. He could be a developer and he doesn't really need certification. He just wants to learn more. And so that's a different conveyor belt. And the way we go about the business of that has fundamentally changed our team. And I'll just point to just a few things that should key into folks like, oh, this is not about the money. This is not about just putting out a book, so to speak. If you notice in Now Learning, those of you who are part of our ecosystem, if you go to the upper right-hand corner, you'll notice that we're beta testing a resume for folks. And that's not going to make us any money. That's going to help people spotlight their own skills and their aspirations. And we're building on that. More and more features that again, it's not going to make us any money. We're not going to ask people to subscribe to it or whatnot. But again, it's a way for us to focus on the individual, and that's what we're centering our business around.
And when you look at some of the goals and intentions and kind of ambitions, talk us through some of that. Bill's being pretty proactive about sharing that.
Yeah, so it's quite an aspiration. Sometimes we're afraid, I don't think he'll mind me saying this, sometimes we're afraid to tell Bill numbers because then he doubles it for us. So uh, the aspiration is that, Bill talks about wanting to be a defining enterprise company of the 21st, a software company of the 21st century. And in order to continue to grow at the level that Bill wants us to grow in the next couple of years, we have done the numbers and we've looked at stats and we've looked at what is required to be that type of company in the next 2 years. And so when we do those numbers, we recognize we need almost 15 million people just to know the term ServiceNow. So we're going to look at sort of like how do we attract people to our honey, right? But we need about 1 million people that are actively in our not so much ecosystem per se, but taking some class, any class, watching some video, registering and enrolling and taking some sort of introductory class on ServiceNow. So we need about 1 million people that are swirling around the hive. And then what we really need is 250,000 people in the next 2 years to be what we call job ready. So what does that mean? We need them to have the skills. It's not always certification. It usually means some level of credentialing, whether it's a high stakes exam or whether it's just, hey, I can prove to you that I can do some things. But we do need people that are ready to take on a ServiceNow role in the ecosystem. So not just ServiceNow, but at our customers, predominantly at our customers, but also at our partners. So that's kind of the aspiration that we have. We know that we need a lot more people. Just to give you kind of perspective, we're probably somewhere a little bit past halfway there on both fronts. And so we have about a little over a year and a half to reach that goal. And we're pretty excited about sharing what we do with the rest of the world.
Yeah, and it's an ambitious goal, and I love the forward thinking about how to actually make that happen. When you look at making content accessible to people in the ecosystem, and you talk about your content becoming more bespoke to people and people whoever's on that, let's say, conveyor belt, and it looks like you really want people to succeed. How do you help them go on that journey and take into considerations different people's learning styles?
It's a great question. I love it. So I've been here a long time. I've been here, relatively speaking, it's a long time. So I'm on my 12th year, about to come up to that milestone this summer. We've always focused on sort of technical folks that are trying to learn and implement our platform. Early stages, that's really what we need. We need people to build the car for us, so to speak. And so we focus on developers and administrators and implementers and things like that. And we bring them into our learning management system, which is called Now Learning. And they come in and they learn things and they go and do it and they come back and, well, as you just said, if we're going to reach a lot more people, so two things you mentioned. One, how do we make this more accessible to people? We are starting to partner, and I can't really say the names right now because we're still working on some things, but I mean, you can think about companies like Coursera, Udemy, LinkedIn Learning. These are all companies we've been working with to try to make our content accessible on their platform as well, because frankly, people might not have ever heard of ServiceNow, but they certainly have gone to places like those, the ones that I've mentioned, and they'll go look for content. And we're hoping that our content, some of the content will show up there, and vice versa, that we can not only have content for them to consume over there, but then come over to Now Learning to learn more. You talked about the bespoke, the custom training that we're doing. It's not so much, some of it's customized to companies. We have a program that does customized training for companies that I actually started about 11 years ago. It's a great program. Customers don't know about it. That would be a great session for another follow-up. But we also do, like you said, or like I said, with the conveyor belt. Like Mark is on that conveyor belt now. And what does Mark need? And so Mark might not be technical. So we're looking at other personas, analysts, project managers, things that people that also are in our ecosystem that play a vital role in making our implementation successful. Those are things that we're also trying to provide training for those folks.
And when we look at VR and that learning journey that people are going on, tell us a little about you and your team's work within kind of learning initiatives.
Yeah, you mentioned different formats and different learning styles. Now there will be people that will argue like there's no such thing, and there's just the way of the way people go about learning. Well, regardless of what philosophy or methodology you subscribe to, there are different ways that people prefer to receive information, whether they want to listen to a podcast like this, or sometimes we do simulcast, right? Like there's a video. People might just want to watch the video on YouTube or on the web, and then see people interacting like we are right now. And I'm able to see you and talk to you in that way. But you also mentioned there's some fascinating technology that we have in the world today that we didn't have 10, 15 years ago around virtual reality, around the metaverse. And even if that's a scary term for folks, I mean, it's really what it is just sort of this mixed reality, experiential reality. So you'll hear things like MR, VR, AR, augmented reality. And so it's you can have it at the palm of your hand. And so with VR, it's something that we've been looking into for over a year now here at ServiceNow. If anybody was at Knowledge last year, you saw us demo a custom bespoke environment that we created specifically for Knowledge 22, and we had so many people coming by our part of the booth that they've asked us to double the size, or I think even triple the size of what we had last year. And so the idea is that, and I'll just put it really simply, if people have never done VR, it's okay. You don't have to buy the device. You can do virtual reality on a web browser. And so we made all of our environments available in a web browser that people can do on their phone, you can do on your laptop. The analogy, you go, why would I do something in VR? Like, what's the big deal? The best analogy I can give is if you're going to go to let's say amusement park like Disney or some Six Flags or some place that has a lot of roller coasters. It's the difference between watching the roller coaster on YouTube, somebody videotape, and people do this, and watching the YouTube video of the roller coaster ride, or actually getting in the cart and going on the roller coaster ride. That is the difference between watching a YouTube video and putting on VR goggles or VR headsets and experience things. There's some apps out there that really make it immersive so that rather than just sort of interacting with you, Mark, over a screen, that I actually feel like I'm sitting in the room with you. There have been times I've been on one-on-ones with my team and I can see their computer screen and I want to reach over and I realize they're not in the room with me. It's that immersive. So we definitely want to push the envelope with today's technology, provide those types of experiences for folks that want something different, want something more immersive.
Yeah, I really think the next 6 to 18 months is going to be very, very exciting about what people are just going to get used to, where before they're a little bit apprehensive. So it's particularly exciting times. And we talk about knowledge, and knowledge is, very, very much upon us. Only very few weeks to go. What are you most excited for? Will this be your 11th or come up to your 12th knowledge?
Yeah, it's my 12th year at the company. It's my 11th knowledge. Um, Well, first of all, there's a couple things. I think there's three things that I would highlight. Number one, I mentioned people before. I'll give you a little tidbit for your podcast here. I've been here so long, I know how things have been named. I even know the person that's responsible for naming knowledge. So those of you who are listening in, you've gotten this far in the podcast. Brian Surratt, he's still in our ecosystem, I believe. He's not with the company anymore. He left a couple of years ago to go to a partner. And he told me the story about how they came up with a bunch of different names, and he had come up with this name called Knowledge. Um, it has now in it, so that's a nice play on words, which is our ticker symbol on the stock market. But it was really about knowledge for our customers. And so number one, the big reason why you would go is about the people that you can see, the people that you can meet. I'm super excited this year because after a couple years of COVID where we had to do it online, and then even last year, we didn't want people to have to travel as far, so we did it in 4 different sites. This will be the first year in 3 years, or actually 4 years, that we've done it all at one place again. So seeing people, meeting people. Um, Number two, the sessions. So I think unlike other companies, the majority of our hundreds of sessions that we deliver at Knowledge, I'd say over 80% of them, they're delivered by our customers and our partners. We might build this car, but we're only a relatively small group of people that maybe drive that. We use our platform in-house, but we love to see other people and how they use our platform. We want to see their best practices or things that they've done uniquely, and we want them to share it with other people that are doing it within their own industry. So the sessions are great. Thirdly, I would say the innovation that's coming out of there. We have an innovation office that creates amazing things for our platforms that we always showcase every year at Knowledge that we want to reveal to the public, to our customers, our partners. Me, myself, and my team, we build things like we did last year with virtual reality. We're going to be doing that again. We'll be doing some AR. We'll be doing some other immersive types of things that we'll showcase on our floor and around the conference. So I hope to be there. I hope to see a lot of you there as well. Come find me. And I think it'll be a great event.
Wow. So looking forward to it. Absolutely amazing experience to embrace and so much to look at. Andy, my final question for you, when you think about not being so special for you on a personal point, if there's one thing that you'd summarize for people who's just on the fence about making that action to go, what would you say is?
I, I don't know if it's appropriate for me to say something like this, but I got asked during a Twitter space one time a couple months ago. Somebody said, "Well, why should I show up at this thing? What's the big deal? It's a conference. Like, it happens to be in Las Vegas, like we usually have it, and people think, oh, we're just gonna go there and fool around. It's a boondoggle, so to speak, like what we say in the U.S." The first Knowledge I went to told me immediately that this was different than any other sort of industry event or conference that I've ever been to. And the analogy that I give to people is when you show up at Knowledge, if you didn't know that you were showing up at a work conference, you might have thought you showed up at a religious cult meeting. And the reason why I say that is that people are desperate to attend these sessions. Where else are you going to go where you see over 20,000 people show up at a place like Las Vegas that has so many distractions? Yet when you show up at the conference, people are queued up and lined up outside the door. They are upset if they cannot get into a session that's been booked up. And so that might not be like a specific answer to your question, but that sort of captures the essence of Knowledge where people really want to be there. They're excited to show off what they've done. They're excited to meet other people that use our platform and they want to share what they've learned from it. It's changed people's lives. That's Fred Luddy, our founder, talked about when he built this company. He remembered back when he was an 18-year-old, helping somebody do data entry and do it easier in their system, and it made that person cry. It cries tears of joy, and that was what he wanted to capture in the work that he did, the company that he built. We've all embodied that from Fred. I think that's what you would have to look forward to when you come to Knowledge.
Andy Ho, VP of Learning Experience and Innovation at ServiceNow. Thank you very much for your time today.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me again, Mark.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Alldus podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. We are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and any Android podcast of choice. You can also head over to our website, www.alldus.com, to listen to more podcasts, view our open roles, and stay up to date with industry news. Thanks for listening, and stay tuned for more great episodes coming very soon.